You need to go somewhere. And if we don't grow, you are stagnant. So it's one of the reasons why I started playing the keyboard, because every time when I come to church, I used to have a problem with people saying that the keyboardist didn't come to church today. You know that thing? It's too much, too much. It makes the whole church now to fill in the dumps. And that feeling, and it's not that it add any value that there's no keyboardist, because if you remember that, like old days, those days, we used to have only maybe like a symbol, and some even use the Bible, like making the sound, like that. And we were enjoying the church. But today it's all about us doing this kind of things, you see. And it stops most people to come to church if there's no music. But let me not go there. Once again, let me greet you in the mighty name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. I want to talk about the subject today. Not the subject, I want to talk about a message of a story that has been told, or a movie that is played out, or a book that is written. In the old days, before TV, there used to be some sort of radio, what's that thing called? Stories, man. Like we used to sit in front of the radio and listen to that stories. I don't know, you remember that? That was such a nice thing, because there you don't have a picture, but you imagine yourself how the picture would look like, the way people explain it to you vividly. You see, they explain it so vividly that even if you have not seen the place, you can see it in your mind. And that is the story I want to tell you today. Because I want to entitle the message even, you are still in the story. You are still in the story, even when it looks like God is silent. Even when it looks like God is silent, you are still in the story. Why I'm saying that you are still in the story is that our story starts from the day when your father and mother come together, and then there's something called, what can I call it now? A race to, how do you call it? A race to who will win. And that is a race between millions and millions of sperm cells. And that race is where your race started. Your story started. And you won the race already at that time. So when you're looking at your life now, showing so many signs of, it's over. Showing so many signs of it's finished. It's not yet done, because you are still in the story. Your story has not been ended as yet. So you are still in the story. I want us to go to Romans 8, verse 28. And I want to read out of the King James Version. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. All things works for the good. It might sound that at this moment, the things that you are going through is so hard that it's finished. Even when Jesus was on the cross of Calvary, he felt the same way than what we are feeling sometimes, as if God has left us. God has, for some reason, being too quiet. But I can tell you now, the silence does not mean he is absent. The silence does not mean he's no longer there. I think I should switch off this one, because if I keep on seeing something nicer and nicer and nicer, and then I so I want you to realize that we went through a series of Joseph, and from Joseph's lives you can see the way he was feeling the absence of God more. Imagine going into a pit, God is not there. Going to be sold as a slave, God is not there. Going into a place where you can almost say, being accused, God is not there. It felt like God is not there at the time. But my point is, your delay is not your denial. Your delay is not your denial. I can tell you now, we have been having a situation where we felt like the spiritual attacks are too much. But I can guarantee you now that spiritual attacks, whether they are 2 or they are 200 or they are 2,000, it does not matter. They have been allowed for God to prove he's still in there. That same story that we see as an end. Our delay is not our denial. And I want you to literally say, like, touch on your chest like this and say, my life is not over. My life is not over. My best days is not behind me. My best days is not behind me. My life is not over because my best days is not behind me. God is not done with me. With me personally, God is not done with me. I still have purpose. For as long as I have breath in these lungs, I still have a purpose. I still have some fire that is about to... I still have a story to tell. Yes. And when I say I want you to make it your own. Don't just say I. Say your full name and say, my life is not over. Me, Ricardo David Zaal, my life is not over. Because people can tell you whatever that is happening, but anything that happens for the good. So regardless if that one is taking you to Nyanga, that one is taking you to Sangoma, that one is taking you to witches, it doesn't matter. God is just allowing you to go through it to prove a point to you that He is still the one that takes Daniel's out of the lion's cage. Just to prove to you, to maybe if it's not for you, it's to prove to them that is taking you to the Sangomas that God is still in your story. Your story is not yet over. Your story is not yet over. You only see the you know in a movie, né? Because this is the thing that makes it easier to explain. When you're inside the movie, the first thing you will see is before the movie starts, the movie will be for 1.5 hours. So when it comes to the main actor in the movie, the main actors don't die. Main actors, hey, they don't die. Main actors are the one that must foresee that the storyline gets finished. So what you are going through is nearly just one scene out of the whole movie. One scene of the whole setup. I sometimes wonder, how come somebody write off their lives because of a boyfriend that left them, a girlfriend that left them? They now consider suicide. I sometimes wonder, how come because you have stolen something and you felt like going to jail is going to be the end of your life? Your story is not yet over. Because the thing that you have done up to that moment, it is still something I can tell you now. It is there to write your story to fruition, to come to that fruit that your life is supposed to give off. Your story is not yet over. It's just a scene that you're going through. And the scene that you're going through at this moment, it might feel daunting. It might, it might feel like it's about to go, but it's not yet the end. If it would have been a book, don't close the book on your life yet. Don't close that book on yourself when God is still about to write the next chapter. God has already been written your whole chapters, but from where I'm standing, you are about to close the chapter before his handwriting is finished. Don't let that happen. If you go through the whole book of Ruth, no, let me not give you the whole, but just remember, at the beginning, the one chapter, it was a whole total loss. And then the next, it was redemption. So when Ruth or whoever that looked into the life of Ruth thought it was finished, it was a whole writing of redemption actually. Please do yourself a favor and go and read through it. But your story is not yet over. Your life is not yet over. Your best days is not behind you. Your best days is yet to come. And I must actually say, it's not yet to come, it's here to come. As of today, your best days is about to start. I mean, if you go through the whole book of Hebrews 11 specifically, those are heroes that waited in faith even when they didn't receive all the promises. Even when they did not receive all the promises. I mean, imagine Abram of old age get told about his descendants, yet being at that age, he did not give up. How do you say? He didn't give up at that time, yet he awaited upon the appointed time. And today he's called a father of many. A father of many. Imagine, Laverne got told that she will never have the best of phone. She was told, it will not happen. We don't have the money. She didn't give up. Because of, as a dad and a mom, we couldn't afford to have given her an iPhone. Because we don't have the money. Yet she trusted on God. And her story was written perfectly where her sister stepped in. Her sister stepped in. Lashante said, no, let's make a plan. And Laverne today got her phone. Not the one that she wanted, but it's still best, or not best. Yeah, I can almost say millions times better than the phone that she had. Because she has not written off the whole phone story. Although she doesn't have the money, although she doesn't have the means. But her story was told about somebody that was struggling with a phone that stuck. Ma, do you know you want to go into one application, you tip like press on it. You had to wait for 2 minutes. You can even go and make yourself a whole cup of coffee, come back, and the app is still opening. Who wanna sit with a phone like that? Yet it was only a scene of one of the whole story. I remember when we bought the phone the very first time, me being the father that I am, I knew it was not the right phone to buy. But I also knew there's not enough money to buy the phone that is necessary. The moment when I see a phone, I can see a phone call a mile away. Even the name was not naming. That was not a name. But the story of how the story ended to how the scene was set up at that time is what the difference is. I'm giving you this so that you can understand. The guys from Hebrew 11, their names are still remembered even up to today because they didn't give up. If you give up, you are just one of those given up testimonies. But when you keep on keeping on, you're one of those that gets written, wow. Awesome. My life is not over because my best days are not behind me. God has never been saying He's done with me. I still have purpose. I still have fire. If you're looking at Elijah, or must I say Elijah? Elijah. The Jah one, Elijah. He wanted to die in First Kings, because he even said, I've had enough, Lord. Take my life. It's Elijah, Nema. Yeah, it's Elijah. He said, take my life. That one is where suicide probably came from. Because if you say to somebody, take my life, and you see they don't want to do it, you end up doing it yourself. And he even went back and said he's no better than his ancestors, his forefathers, or whatever you call them. Somebody who did so much miracles just now. He's done so many miracles, and yet he was running away in fear. Elijah ran away in fear and went to go and sit under a tree. And where he sat there under the tree is where God came and sent, or how can I say, where God sent an angel, to give him food. Let's not even go to Job. Because Job is one of the do you call it, well-known biblical characters. No, let me say actors in a scene. One of the actors in a scene that looked like, if it was me, I would have given up. Is that scene where he said, he even used the word when he said it there, why? Like, why did I not perish at birth? He said, why wasn't I a miscarriage? Why wasn't I aborted? That's how he said for his life. Why didn't I die as I come from the womb? Job's words. Imagine. You had such a tough life that you come to a conclusion that you should have been aborted. You come to an conclusion that you should have been a miscarriage. That's how tough your life is. I don't want life to be that hard. Because if you feel like your life is that hard, that you question your existence, you're questioning God, Mara, why me? He questioned it. But it was only a scene in his life. It was only a scene in his life because it's the same guy that God actually gave double. The same guy. He got double for his trouble. Mara Job, ne? There's another lady also I want to make mention of. There's this lady called Naomi. You know Naomi, ne? Her name is called Naomi, but she said, call me Mara. Is Mara? Yeah, Mara. Call me Mara. Heaven. Some people. Call me Mara. And you know why she asked to be called Mara? It's because her life was bitter. No. Let me rather say she felt like her life was bitter. That is why she said, call me bitter. Do you know that? Wait, I think I should. No, it's fine. The way Naomi explained it, she said when she went full, like as she had a lot. She explained it like, imagine me, the daughters. Most people were seeing me as this rich person that anytime somebody asks me, I can just give them. I went out full. I had everything a woman would want. If I say to this one, do this, that person will flee in for me. If I say to that one, do that, they will be, hey, Naomi. Now when I come back empty. But Naomi's story was not yet finished. Naomi's story was not yet finished. Let me talk about somebody who was even called, or not called, he was. You know, when you are called something and you are not, you can reject it. But if you have done it, you must accept that. Moses, murderer. His story was just a scene in the whole story. And when I'm talking about a scene in a whole story, Moses' life started so nicely, but because of rejection at birth, is it at birth? Not at birth, but within the first few months. And it was not really even a rejection. It was just an option for him to live. But if I were you and my mother gave me to somebody else, I would have thought as being rejected as well. I would see it even as rejection. My mother rejected me because the mother couldn't speak the truth. She must live with the whole life. Is the one, what they call it, by the river Nema, they give. Today I'll ask you too many things because I want to make sure that I'm aligning myself. Imagine, drop like that. Let the river take you somewhere. As a mother, they dropped you. But then, luckily, hey, God has a plan for your life. God has a plan for your life. Although you've been seeing yourself as a rejected one, although you know you are a murderer, imagine you restored and deliver so many more people than the one that you've killed. So your life is only a scene now that you are going through. It's only a scene of a bigger picture. It's only a chapter in a book. It's not yet finished. You can't kill yourself because of divorce. You cannot do that. Divorce is just part of the plan for you to be brawoshik. To live a life that you are fully aware of. Let me make an example. Your husband could have been the person that stopped you from living your life to the fullest. And now that you are divorced, now you can live the life that you actually want to. Maybe that guy is the guy that every time, whenever something happens, he will tell you, hey, you can't go to church. Huh? Every time he tells you that you can't go to church, and you so much want to go to church, now that divorce comes, now you are in church even the more. Now you are in church even the more. I want to say to you, Moses killed one, but saved millions. You might kill one, but out of the millions, you will feel like, wow, it's not defining me as a murderer to kill one, because I've saved more. Peter, I've done the biggest mistake. Peter was a guy now. After he denied Jesus, he went outside, or he went wherever, let's say somewhere. And he was crying. Yo, I made the biggest mistake. Imagine this guy. Hey. You are saved, man. You are saved. Now you are with Jesus. You are the right hand and the left hand of Jesus. Wherever we go, your goeders is going now. You deny Jesus. You go and cry. You went back to your old life. What was all that about? And that is when Jesus came to say, Peter, feed my sheep. That is how he said it. Feed my sheep. And feeding the sheep restored Peter. Your life has just been having a scene in the whole story. No need to give up as yet. Because giving up is only allowed when you're 6 feet under. And that is not even giving up as yet, because there's still life after death. We will be... Do you know the Bible says that the graves will open and people will get up. Okay, let me let me not talk about those ones that was cremated, because there's no grave for cremation. Poor people. Man, isn't it what the Bible says? Graves will open and people will come out. Now those ones that were cremated I'm just asking. I have not said anything. I said biblically. It has not been talking about cremation. So if you want to be cremated, just thought life after death. Just think of it. I'm not saying you should. Just think of it. You want to be with those ones that say, oh, Jesus, you are here. Or you want to be the one that says, Ish, where's the other part of the ash? Please come here. Wind, please come help. Let's get gathered together. Huh? If you are saying your story is finished, I can tell you now, your story is not yet finished. It's just a scene in your life at this moment that you are going through a tough time. The tough time that you are saying is that there's still hope for you. Even after the grave, even if you try to kill yourself, you will still have hope after that. But I can guarantee you now that when Peter denied Jesus, Jesus gave him a second chance, or not just a second chance, but many a chances, because when he said to Peter, feed my sheep, Peter was actually restored at that time. Feeling bad that things went south. The woman that was having the issue of blood, you know that woman, she didn't have the money, she didn't have anything else. She went to all the doctors and everywhere she went, she felt like her life was over. The story was finished. That's how she felt. She felt like it's finished. It's done. But when she felt like she was done, here comes Jesus, stepped in, showing her that her story is not yet over. Showing her that it's not the last of the last. Your story is not yet over. You are still in one of the chapters of the book that has been written about you. And don't let one chapter choose your whole book. Don't let one movie scene choose the whole movie. Because when the woman with the issue of blood ran out of all options, like literally every option that she could have, she never thought about Jesus up until she saw him. And when she saw him, knowing that she's unclean, with no other options, and in those days, when you are like that, they don't allow you. They don't allow you. She forced her way through. And her chapter was changed. Her whole life was changed. Although she wanted to finish the book and close the book. But according to Romans 8:28, going back to that, saying that, and we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. If you are called according to God's purpose, you cannot be able to let this demonic attacks dictate your life. Because demonic attacks is just there for you to say, oh, all right, I'm done. And I want to give up. Is the reason why the demonic attacks comes. Because when the demonic attacks comes, it's trying to stop you from living your life to the fullest. Let it not be the last. Let's think of Lazarus. Imagine, somebody who was finished, the book was closed. Ask him now. Lazarus dead for 4 years. 4 days, sorry. It might have been 4 years. The way I can feel the moment somebody does this to me. 1 minute feels like 1 hour. Lazarus. Lazarus, Lazarus, don't you know that I'm the resurrection and the life? I am the resurrection and the life. Imagine Martha, ne? Martha saying, Wangka. There's already a bad smell. And I think she didn't think that that guy, maybe Utarpernet, is not yet finished. It's just the smell of bloatedness. Let me not make jokes, but really, I think you must bring 2 glasses. One time, because I know. My life is not yet over. Say it. You must actually push out your breast like this, and my life is not yet over. My best days are not behind me. You know, when people going through divorce and bad relationships, you know that breakup, ne? You know, it's like, I've given this guy my all. I've given this woman my all, my everything. Now I feel like I'm used and abused. That relationship is finished, it's done. Imagine somebody called Peter. Peter, do you know what happened to Peter? I have been toiled all day, I caught nothing. I have been toiled all day, I caught nothing. Only to realize when Jesus stepped in, they even had to ask, it come to Satoch, asseblief, come help me. When Jesus stepped in, the way you have nothing at the moment, when Jesus stepped in, you will feel like, it's too much. I need to get some people involved. Yeah. Your life is not yet over. It's just a small little hurdle you're going through. Small. Sometimes when you lose your job or your business ventures, ne, or your business fail, you feel like, I'm done. That's when you must be remembered about Peter, the fisherman. Call Jesus in. Call 10,111 won't help you. 10,111 will bring people that will bopper you. Call Jesus. Sometimes you must understand that we went through a tough one now. These 2 weeks, past 2 weeks now. Losing a loved one. It's not nice. It felt like when the person died, it's like something within you died with him. When I lost my sons, remember, I'm not talking about my son, I'm talking about 2 boys, 2 sons. I felt like I could have died with them. I felt like I won't see the anything in my future again. They should have actually told me the same thing, like when Mary and Martha thought that they lost Lazarus forever. They should have told me, hey, somehow, maybe these boys will wake up. 15 years now. Yeah, 15 years ago. In a few days, it's 15 years ago. It's actually 14 years ago still. On the 10th of July, it will be 15 years since they pass on. And I'm talking about the 4 days that Lazarus was in there. My 4 days is 4 million times gone already. And yet, they didn't wake up. I feel like, it's hard. Sometimes you lose your family to chronic disabilities and chronic illnesses and disabilities. For the woman of the issue of blood, she couldn't be sitting next to a lot of people because of, if you know the smell of blood, it's not a nice thing. Some people will tell you even straight, hey, bruh, huh? They will tell you, the way you smell, go. I don't want to be sitting next to you. Imagine for having a relationship and the guy want to kiss you. That kind of illness makes you be rejected by men. Sure. Let me not go into this one, but let me just make a quick one. Imagine you're overwhelmed by poverty and debt. Scholar, you feel overwhelmed because it's too much. You feel like, this is really, really too much. But you know the one thing that keep on keeping me, the one thing that helped me is when I look at the woman who had a small little bit of oil and yet had the wealth to show for it. So there's somebody that will step into your life and help you. You just need to allow a lot of people in your life, because there's this one person that might change your life. 2 Kings 4. The widow doesn't have a husband anymore. Doesn't have anybody to rely on. No funding coming my way. And yet, allow the little that she have to share with somebody. I don't want to feel like I want to tramp on this one, but I want to just give you the core of this one. Is that even the little that you have, if you share it with somebody, it will be multiplied. No one will ever get multiplication by holding it. Holding it will not. The way I'm working so hard, Ma. I work very hard. Do you know that this week I traveled from my house to Bloemfontein. I worked in Bloemfontein for the whole half of a day. I think I finished there around 2. I drove to Kimberley. I got there probably just before 5 o'clock. No. I was so hungry, I did not eat for the whole day. Like, not the whole day, but I mean, I had breakfast and I was hungry. By 5 o'clock, I felt like, Joe, I didn't eat for the day. Because I was so busy, I forgot to eat. By the time I get to Kimberley, I went to eat. After I ate, I went bed. Just to realize there's a few things I still need to do. And I sit till 11 o'clock that night on Tuesday night. 11 o'clock, I realized if I don't close this now, I won't be able to wake up in the morning. I shut down the laptop. I went and I forced myself to sleep. 5 o'clock, I was up again. And I had the laptop in my hand again. Then, after that, I realized, I'm saying Tuesday. No, this was a shorter week. It was Tuesday, I was in Bloemfontein. Wednesday, I was in Kimberley. Then from Kimberley, when I finished there, it was also just past 1. I went to Hartswater. I worked in Hartswater. After that, I went to Vryburg. And I slept in Vryburg for that night. By the time I get to Vryburg, it was 6 o'clock. Now, it's already 6 o'clock and I'm tired. I woke up on Friday morning in Vryburg. A whole 5 hours drive to Pretoria. A whole 5 hours drive. But I still had to work in Vryburg. But I'm working very hard. And I'm not saying I don't. But my question is, why is it that the same week that I was working so hard, I was stressed about my family at home not having anything to eat? Because Friday when I come in here, there was nothing. I work very hard. I feel overwhelmed by this not having enough. But yet, I can tell you, last week, is it last week or the week before? We had, it's last week that we had the people coming over, or the week before. No, it's week before, I think. Okay, but doesn't matter. But by the time we had people over and we've given almost everything that we had. Yet I can tell you now, God has always been provided, regardless whether I had it or not. There's some things that I need to speak about. Ne? This is something I can tell you now. We tend to forget that it's reality. It's called depression. Mental health. Depression. You have depression and you feel like your life is over. Nobody is going to miss me if I just take the rope and gooi myself. Nobody will even miss me if I take some tablets and just gooi it. Sometimes you feel these suicidal thoughts running through you. So many times I have failed. So many times I have tried so many things, yet I have failed. What's the point? What's the point? Elijah was there. Elijah. That man said, God, just kill me. Let me go. He was there. He wanted to die. That one, he said, man, let me rather go. So when you go through this, your chapter in your book is just a chapter. It's not the whole book. Don't close the book on a chapter that felt like your life is not over. Don't close your chapter when you feel like it's tough. Your life is not yet over. You know, there's something that I can tell you, ne? So many people don't realize this, ne? They got caught because of they made a mistake. Now they go to jail. They steal something for real. Like they took it. Now they're going to jail. And they are in jail thinking that people will not forgive them for that. The mistakes that you've made, maybe you think, I'm done. It's just a chapter in your life. Remember, there was a girl in the Bible that was caught in adultery. Not she was suspected. She was caught. No suspicions, just caught in the act. So when she was caught in the act, they wanted to finish her off. And Jesus said, no, let me leave it. But Jesus helped the story. But you know what he does, ne? Or what he did at that time? He said to the lady, all right, you made a mistake, sharp. All right, but I'm asking you now. I don't condemn you. Just go and sin no more. Huh? How many things you went through? How many things you've done as mistakes? A lot. And so I can go on and on and on. But your chapter is not yet finished. Addiction is a repeated cycle, ne? Addiction. You know, so many times we find ourselves that we so much want to leave this addiction. I'm not saying what addiction, I'm just saying addiction. You choose which addiction we're talking about here. Because some people think that addiction can only come from drugs. Addiction can only come from, okay, whatever. But those addictions, when we went through it, it's a bit of a difficulty. It's difficult. But God can restore you from that. And some people say most addiction is something that you can't see. I mean, it's something that you can see, sorry. Addiction is something that you can see. But it's something that some people can't even see it. Let's talk about addiction of porn addiction. It's something that people don't see because it's hidden. But God can say to you, you can be restored. Don't think it's just something that can't be forgiven. No. Things that God is telling you, it's not that your story is finished. It's just a chapter in your book. It's a chapter in your book. Let me give you the last one. Do you know that sometimes you feel unwanted, you feel invisible, you feel unseen, you feel like people don't recognize you? I mean, I've done so many things. I am always the helper. I help everywhere I go. Nobody wants to help me. Do they even notice me? Do they even see me? You know, I work so hard in this company, but never ever have they come to a place where they recognize me as the hard worker that I am. Yo, I've been working very hard. Let me talk to you about somebody called David. Do you know David there? Waking up every morning, early in the morning, taking the sheep to greener pastures. But when King was about to be appointed, he was not even thought of. They didn't even think he can be. Hey, man. Don't you know that even if you feel unseen, God is working it out, as we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. Can't you just for once just think? Others saw a shepherd. Others saw a mere man that sits in the sun looking after sheep. While God did not just see a shepherd, he saw a king. God saw a king. One thing I can tell you now, you've been seen as the useless. You've been seen as the murderer, like Moses. You've been seen as a betrayer, like Peter. You've been seen as the uncleansed one, like the woman with the issue of blood. And so I can go on. You've been seen. Let me talk about, you've been seen as the criminal with a criminal record and mistakes, like the woman who was caught in adultery. You've been seen as all of this, all of them. But yet, your story has not been finished as yet. It was just a chapter in your story. It was just a scene in your movie scene. Don't give up on God, because he has not been given up on you. Don't be a Job that feel like I could have been aborted. Why didn't they kill me at birth? Why wasn't I a miscarriage? Yet Job is the one that was so restored that even up till today, he's been written in books as the man. He made a difference in life. The man that, I can tell you one thing there. Job, when the book begins, God was the one who spoke about him. No one else. No human being. God said, have you seen my son? Huh? Mine. Not. Hey. Imagine somebody calls you mine while you call yourself an aborted miscarriage. Bishop, can you just picture this now? You see yourself as you're useless. It's just a small chapter in your book. It's not the full story. It's not the full story. Your pain is not wasted. You intended it to harm me, but God intended it for good. God always specializes in comebacks. Though the righteous fall at 7 times, they rise again. Proverbs 24 verse 16. I mentioned to you, delay is not denial. Habakkuk 2 verse 3. The vision is yet for an appointed time. Though it lingers, wait for it. It will certainly come. Sometimes silence seems he's building something. Sometimes silence means, he's building something greater. You are still loved, you are still called, and you are still chosen. Romans 11:29. For God's gift and his call are irrevocable. Even though you feel forgotten, he hasn't changed his mind about you. There is more than what you can think in you. Ephesians 3 verse 20. Now to him who is able to do immeasurable more than all we ask for or imagine. You see, you're not yet running on empty. You might feel empty, but you're running on grace. You might feel empty, but you're running on grace. Remember, your story is for someone else's healing. Because remember, when Jesus died on the cross of Calvary, it came back to us in Revelations 12 verse 11. They overcome by the blood of the Lamb. Jesus' story about the blood of the Lamb. And your story, how you overcome. The blood of the Lamb, did you hear that one? Then it says, and the word of their testimony. So your story is for somebody else's healing. Amen. Imagine you trying to skip certain things in your life. The hardships you're going through. You want to skip that part of your life. You want to, I don't know, you kids, you don't know this thing of forward and rewind on a cassette player. Exactly. Yeah, Bishop. Diman is saying, what is a cassette player? Huh? You don't even know what a cassette player is. You must go on Google, because these days Google is your friend. Google is the one that teach you more. A cassette player is something that you press and it rewinds. Almost I can hear the sound now. I don't. Then you rewind. The parts you don't like, you press forward. And sometimes the part that you don't want is long, and you have to rewind forward long. And every time you press play, the song is still playing. Cassette player. Your life can never be a cassette player where you can forward the things that you are going through. That a text that you are going through is a part of who you are going to be, or who are you going to be today or tomorrow. The parts that you think that I don't want this part in my life is the parts that is strengthening you. Is the parts that is making you a better person. Is the parts that whenever you've been hidden once, the next time you know how to block. Is that part. Because if somebody hit you once, you went through it, you can know how to defend yourself the next time. If you haven't gone through it, it might be the one that was using only a fist, and you felt it. But the next person using what is a koevoet? Let's say an iron bar. Because before somebody hit you with the fist, now the guy come with the iron bar going for your head. Because you can block it, because of knowing that what it can do against your fist. You're not dying. Because you've learned how to block. Going through tough things, it's making you, your story is not yet over. It's just a chapter in a book. If I can tell you now, Bishop, we had a conversation about spiritual attacks. Do you know that any spiritual attack cannot tell God's plan for you to stop? Yes. God's plan. Hey, try ma. Let the spiritual attacks come. And you know what is the worst part of it is, ne? We have a tendency of wanting to fight back. We want to, what is it called? There's a word I'm looking for now. Aha! We want to retaliate. Huh? We want to retaliate. But let me show you something. Ne? Romans 12. Ne? Let me just go to 12:21. Let's use 12:21. Romans 12:21 says as follows. Ne? Be not overcome of evil, but overcome evil with good. You don't fight fire with fire. No. Don't. You don't fight fire with fire. If there's darkness, you don't bring more darkness. Put a torch, bring light. Sometimes you need to pray for your enemies. Because what happened is that what is within you comes out. There's some saying I said some time ago, ne? Christians should think what are inside of them, because if you take a toothpaste, toothpaste something, ne? The tin of a toothpaste, I don't know what you call it, basic tin, basic. You take that toothpaste, ne? And you press the toothpaste whatever comes out of there, you expect toothpaste to come out. Whenever you take a what is this thing called, ice cream tub, when you see it in the freezer, not in the fridge, in the freezer, you expect it to have some ice cream. But sometimes we are like ice cream tubs that hold leftovers. Oorskiet. Leftovers. So when we retaliate, we take out from the ice cream tub the leftovers food that is rotten. We need to change our strategy. So your story might be going that the arrows that they shoot. The scripture says, the arrow by day. Huh? Arrow by day, ne? You know, Bishop, some of these scriptures, ne, the Afrikaans is killing me inside because I'm trying to translate now in English. You see, because the way I taught myself on scriptures was in Afrikaans. So now the Afrikaans and the English is fighting inside the head. You say, no, not you. No, it's my turn. So when I speak to you, I speak in Afrikaans in the head, and then the English come out of the mouth. So it's more of a fight, I can say. But I'm saying to you now, your story needs to go through these fights that they're giving you. It needs them to shoot the arrow by day, to prove that God is still God in your life. God is still God in your life. Amen. We don't have to prove that we can fight. We don't have to prove that we are children of God. We just have to let it be. Exodus 14, verse 14. Let it be. Exodus 14, verse 14. I think I must, let me go there. Exodus 14, verse 14. The Lord shall fight for you, and he shall hold your peace. Nice. Done. Finish. Going back to the Romans 8:28. And I'm finishing. And we know that all things work together for good, to them that love God, to them who are called according to his purpose. So regardless of whatever they do for you, you are the daughters of all daughters. You're mpinchaka of all mpinchas. I can tell you now, you are the cream of the crop. Though they think they are killing you, they are actually making you stronger. Heavenly Father, I worship you, I praise you, I lift your name up high. For I know, Father God, by everything you have said it. You have set before us all the things that we should do. You've set before us life and death, and you said to us,